Oh man, oh man, oh man. How are we looking there now, guys? I think that's a bit better. Man, what a fucking sausage I actually am. I was, I don't know if some of you caught it there last night. I was on with the guys from High and Homegrown, and that podcast was done a little bit outside of my regular time. So I had to move the studio to another part of the house where I wasn't disturbing people as they slept. So when I brought it back to my studio space, I forgot to connect back up the bloody soundboard to the computer by USB. So everything else was perfect. I was wondering what the hell, why isn't this working? And yeah, there you go, like a simple little thing like that. For fuck's sake, I should be doing more trouble or troubleshooting before I launch these things live. But look, let's not worry. We've got some lovely cannabis herb here. A bit of civil disobedience on screen right now, possessing something which is illegal in public. But yeah, we got some lovely cannabis herb here, Master Wax. Something quite nice, grown by a good buddy. So yeah, I'm gonna stick this into my grinder, grind it up, and then we'll get stuck into the 420 news, guys. Ooh, some lovely smell off this as you break the bud up into the grinder. Oh, I hope I'm not teasing anybody out there. I hope you're all nice and blazed up, guys, for 420. Happy 420, wherever you might be. But yeah, we're going to grind this one up. And while I grind this, guys, just take a second to thank the sponsor. Oops. Boom, there we go. To thank the sponsor of today's show, the guys at r420.ie, they actually opened their doors today. So congratulations, guys. I can only imagine that what you're feeling right now is great. I would love to be able to open my own kind of cannabis orientated store, but sadly I just haven't been able to get around to it. I've been fighting too hard for legalisation of it. But r420.ie, guys, go over, check them out. All your cannabis accessories that are over there: smoking trays, grinders, skins, bongs, hoodies, things like that. Really cool look selection of stuff up there. So check them out, r420.ie. And if you happen to be in the Port Arlington area, guys, do pay the store a visit and tell them Martin said hi. So again, thanks very much, r420.ie. I'll leave that up there for 1 second longer just while I finish grinding. I wonder if you got grinders this size up there, actually, R420. I'd imagine you do. I haven't gone through your entire range online, but these grinders are really fucking good. Grind like a good 3 or 4 grams in it at a time. Not that I would be recommending grind up so much, but just for me, it stops you from putting it in your pocket. There's nothing worse than sticking a grinder in your pocket and you get nabbed with it going down the road. So it kind of stops that. And guys, as well, before we get into today's news, just another update on day 17 of the 420 kilometer challenge over the month of May. If you don't already know, 30 days, there's 31 days in May, but we're going to do it in 30 days. 14 kilometers a day, again, just keep the numbers round. 14 kilometers a day over 30 days, totaling 420 kilometers. Myself and my daughter took this challenge upon ourselves. Sadly, my daughter has just been feeling a bit unwell, sore legs from doing this challenge. So I've been doing the last couple of days alone. And as I kind of alluded to there yesterday and in my update, if you haven't already seen it, I kind of was suffering there a little bit since, I suppose, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and a few days after that then as well, because of that court case I had. And I wasn't updating people while I was out there doing the run, just mainly because I was using it to kind of treat my own mental health. Running, being out there on these kind of long runs really helps to centre yourself, to help gather your thoughts and everything like that. So I was using the runs for my own kind of betterment there. But I was feeling a bit better there yesterday, and I managed to get the camera out and do a little bit of a live. And I just thought it was worth mentioning, the effects that this prohibition has on people's mental health. People will ask me, how you feel, Martin? I'm grand, yeah, but because I don't really want to tell them how I'm actually feeling, Imagine if I start anytime somebody asks me how are you feeling, well, I'm rather pissed off today that we're still living in a society where there's authorities out there actively hunting me so they can put me behind bars. Imagine if that's how I answered when somebody asked me how are you going. Okay, people probably wouldn't want to be around me very much. So we kind of cover this stuff up, act as if everything's okay when really it's not. If you're a person out there and you consume cannabis, well, you can be ignorant to it if you want, but there's an authority force out there actively hunting and searching for you. I know people who, like, when they're messaging, say on Facebook, they won't even message, their buddies about a 50 bag, just like, oh, are you around? That'll be about it. And they won't mention anything about weed, but they know it's implied, because they think they're being watched all the time. This is a very unhealthy way in which to live. Again, so I took the opportunity yesterday just to highlight those issues caused by prohibition. And also at the same time, the prohibition prevents access and effective access to medical cannabis here in Ireland. So I was reminding people about that there as well. And much appreciated there, guys, for the super chats coming in. I see Podge there, he says, great to have you on the High and Homegrown, Martin. Hit that like button, everybody. Nice on there, Podge. Appreciate it. It was a great crack to be on there with him, and I see, there was many of yourselves out there in the audience as well last night, so I hope you enjoyed it. We didn't get to talk as much about activism as I would have liked to. We kind of got carried away, and we were just having too much crack after the interview segment. In the after party, I was hoping we might have got to talk a bit more about activism, but we ended up just kind of telling jokes and having the crack, which was great too. I really enjoyed that. It was a change of pace for me, because I'm always on here being very serious about things. I always trying to throw in my stupid jokes and laughing at myself. But that was definitely I really enjoyed that last night. Good crack. Check it out if you haven't already. It's up there in the High and Homegrown YouTube channel already. And Miss Dowes as well, he says, really enjoyed your session on High and Homegrown last night. Good to hear that, guys. Thanks very much for the feedback. And as always, guys, hit that like, subscribe button, and share it around too. Both here and on High and Homegrown as well, if you haven't already done so, guys. So right, I'm going to blast on into me bowl, and we will get stuck into today's 420 news then, guys. It's only taken 10 minutes. One or two little audio issues and things like that, but look, it's a live show. We live and we learn. Good opportunity for any bong companies out there if they would like to get their bong on the 420 news, guys. There's a good old slot there, feet. So we'll drive on, guys, because this has been sent around to me quite a bit there today. The Red Sea poll, it's made a number of headlines now, but the article in the Journal was the one that was sent to me by a number of you out there already. So thanks very much to those people who've taken the time to send this one on to me. But this Red Sea poll, it found that over 93% of people who took part in the survey think that cannabis should be legalised in Ireland. So this is a Red Sea poll. These are quite that's quite a prestigious poll, I suppose, really, if in terms of polls that are carried out. So it's really well. It's a good thing that the Red Sea poll carried out this, because it gives a lot of validity to the data which comes from it, as opposed to me. If I put out a poll there and I find like 93% of people support cannabis to be legalised for medical use in Ireland, then that wouldn't be given as much kind of acknowledgement as the Red Sea doing it. So happy days that they've done this. And also then, while 93% of people think cannabis should be legalised for medical use, another 39% of that cohort believe that cannabis should be legalised for wider adult use. They use the term recreational use, which I think was a bit detrimental to the poll. I reckon you would have seen a higher number of people vote in favour of a regulated adult market. If we termed it differently, I think the term recreational cannabis use, it's a bit tainted. We don't use recreational drinking, or recreational alcohol use. We don't term it like that. it's drinking, and I think that was a bit of a detriment there to the opportunity to show more support just for the adult market. But still, this is something not to be ignored. 93% of people polled in this believe cannabis should be legalised for medical use. And only 4% of people who took part in the poll were opposed to any form of cannabis legalisation, which is major. Like this is a major finding, really, because it really goes to show that the government have been actively working against the will of the people. The 93% of people think medical cannabis should be legalised, but we all know, well, ye all know out there what's going on with the medical cannabis access programme currently. Still to date, no patients have gotten access to medical cannabis through the MCAP, the Medical Cannabis Access Programme. Vera Toomey, whose daughter has access to medical cannabis through a ministerial licence, an exemption, she still has to fork out 10 grand every 3 months, which takes the government then a couple of weeks to reimburse back to Vera, back to the family. But again, how many parents out there, if they find themselves in a situation where their child needs access to this medicine, have 5,000 or 10,000 euro at their disposal? I know very few parents out there who probably have access to that, just given the current climate that we find ourselves in. We're going into a deep dark recession and all that crap. This medical cannabis access program, it's a paltry, and we see how many people actually support the idea of legalising cannabis access. Our GPs should be free. Like if you suffer with insomnia, chronic pain, even if you suffer from a poor appetite, and you go to your doctor and you say, hey, doctor, I have these issues, and that doctor should be versed in how to work with cannabis as a medicine in order to help you live a higher quality of life. But currently, patients aren't afforded that opportunity. If a patient in Ireland wants to get access to cannabis, the easiest way to do so is through criminals, through organised crime gangs. And who in the name of God wants to be getting their medicine from an organised crime gang? I know I certainly don't want any of my loved ones to be getting any form of medication from a criminal. So yeah, this definitely leaves room for a conversation here with the governments. We'll see if they actually acknowledge it. There's the actual poll and the results, with 1% of people there voting that they don't know. So yeah, it's interesting then once you get into the further breakdown of the results. You see the age range there, they break it down. You can see an ever increasing amount of people as they get younger support the idea of the adults accessing cannabis and using it free from criminal sanctions. Whereas in the older bracket, in the kind of the 65 plus, or was it 55 there, that says the writing's a bit small on my screen, can barely make it out. But in that older age bracket, 70% of them actually support only medical, while 25%, I think it is there, support adults use. So again, that goes to show that the younger generation, they're not being really represented in the current politics. And we go back to that article 2 weeks ago, a week ago, whenever it was, that cannabis is the gravest threat to the mental health of young people. Well, actually, this kind of shows you something different, that there's a number of young people out there who believe that they should be allowed to access cannabis freely without being criminalised for it. And what does that say about what the gravest threat to the mental health of young people is? Because I know myself, when I was a young person and I got a criminal conviction for cannabis, that was more detrimental to my mental health, because it really chipped away at my confidence. Like, it was really hard for me to build up self-belief, and we really all need to believe in ourselves, and you don't want to be telling yourself that you're a worthless criminal and they're never going to hire you, because there's going to be hundreds of other people out there who are going to come before you with no criminal conviction. So therefore, why even bother? That's bad for your mental health. So again, there's a lot of room for conversation here. Let's hope that the government pick it up sooner rather than later, because as I say, we're going into a recession now. We're going to need jobs. Young people need an alternative to alcohol, which is a depressant. once we get back out to be allowed to go out and enjoy ourselves and allowed out. I can't believe what I'm actually even saying here. Like, but when we're allowed out again to socialise in the evenings by the government, at pubs and clubs and things like that, that we should be afforded the choice of going to a venue where it caters for the consumption of cannabis. Again, just to protect people, when it comes to traceability and all of this stuff. And again, to protect the consumers here, we need to, there's an opportunity for change, and I hope the government can start conversing around this. And up to you as well, the people out there, to really start making noise, and not ask the government, but force the government to listen to you, and to give in to what it is that you are entitled to. It's not even what you want, but this is what we are entitled to. This is our human rights. So hopefully people now can take this on, that this is wind under your sails, and hopefully this helps the community fly loud and proud, and overcome some of the ignorance that is out there. Because really, when we look outside of our own bubble, when we look at the gay community, I always kind of go to the gay community in this. But where is it? Do I have it saved there? 1 second, I'm going to pop this photo up on screen. But this was coming from the Gardai's Twitter page. There is transphobia. So this was up in the Gardai's Twitter page. So again, I always use the gay community as a reference point, because what we have to do is replicate what they did, coming out of the closet, so to speak. Look at where the gay community are now. They have a bloody guards car with a gay rainbow flag driving down, supporting them in their protests. And they say here in their Twitter post that we are supporting the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Interphobia and Transphobia 2021. It says, if you are a victim of hate, please report to any Garda stations where you will be taken seriously and you will be treated sensitively. How are we going to, how are we going to do our part to get drug phobia up there? Because that's what's happening to us in our society. Me as a cannabis consumer, I experience hate. I experience hate when I go to a court and I'm treated like I'm some sort of drug addict with a health problem. That is hateful, and that's discriminatory towards me. If I ring a Garda station now and express these feelings as to how I'm being discriminated against, and that's a violation of my human rights. We all have a right under the European Convention of Human Rights to around the prohibition of discrimination. That's a human right. That's enshrined there. That's written down in black and white. And these Gardaí should be upholding that right. But really, if you were to ring a guard station and say, "Hey, come here, I'm experiencing hate," and it's at the hands of yourself in the courts, if you happen to be this guy in the next story, which is the man who pleaded guilty for €4 worth of cannabis, and the way in which he was treated in his case, the judge in this case actually referred to the man as being unclean. The judge said, "I would not consider community service until..." Oh, apologies. Phone there. He said, "I would not consider community service until I know he is clean." In other words, he's referring to this man as being unclean because he's using cannabis. Now, this guy, I believe in this case, he actually got off of harder drugs with the help of cannabis, and he was getting his life back together. So isn't this what we should want for people, is in terms of quality of life and their ability to contribute in society? Again, cannabis use is, if it's done responsibly, a person can contribute in a great way to their society. If they're carrying a criminal conviction, that's going to be much harder for them. I know myself in my own experience, again, when we talk about going back to the mental health awareness and stuff like that, I was volunteering with the local football club here, Delaney's GA club, and I was helping out with the nursery groups. I was in with the kids, and I was coaching the nursery group there, which was kids under 5. And it was great. I really enjoyed it every Thursday night, going up there, and would have a great time. Would have a series of exercises there to help the kids, around their functional movements. I was very passionate about it. I really enjoyed it. But I'll never forget the pivotal moment of when the Gardaí arrived at my house again with a warrant, with a summons for me to go to court back in June. And over time, I actually found myself unable to go up to Delaney's any longer, because I knew I was going to be getting more vocal and more outspoken, and I kept finding myself in a position where I was thinking, you know, that the parents were didn't want their kids to be around me, that I wasn't wanted up there, I was unwelcome, and nobody was doing anything really to make me feel unwelcome. It was just this voice at the back of my own head that, hey, you're a criminal drug user. And if, you know, even for the Gardai vetting, I was supposed to get Gardai vetted up there, and I just didn't go ahead with the Gardai vetting, and because again, just this voice at the back of my head, you know, you're a drug user, you're a criminal, you're dirty, you know. And these judges reinforce that, like it's horrible, like, but really, like, you know, the way I see it, like, I'm loud and proud about my cannabis use from now on, but still, you know, that's not to say that I don't face issues around the stigma. I certainly do. I know myself, if I was to go up the laneys again and give my part there, I would still be always thinking at the back of my mind, you know, that there's people out there and they're thinking, oh, there's Martin, there's the fella that's campaigning for cannabis, like, oh, there's the druggie. These are the things that I'm hearing in my own head and it's from myself. It's from myself, and I acknowledge that these people up there, they're not doing this to me. Nobody really ever treated me like that. It was just that we do these things to ourselves. We're our own worst enemy at the end of the day. So this is just something that I have to keep on reiterating, you know, that this is the effect of prohibition. But say it loud and proud, like, I'm forever unclean if that's the way society wants to view me. Feck society, we have a sick society if they want to view me as being unclean, or any of us out there as cannabis consumers. Feck them, man. They're sick individuals for viewing us and judging us like this. Again, only God can judge me. But yeah, in this case anyway, the judge put the guy off for a probation report and 2 random urine analysis. Horrible situation to be put in. Like, you know, this guy now has to go through probation reports when really he's got caught with €4 worth of cannabis. Like, come on, that's 1/4 of a gram, 0.25 of a gram, or less than that even. Mad to think, you know, how much time and energy is being wasted here. Again, another guy out there, well, I don't know what this guy's backstory is, but it seems like he was trying to get on with his life. Us as taxpayers, we're paying for the torturing of this man and the terrorizing of this man. And if you look up the definition of terrorist, you know, it's within the definition is included, it's a person who forces their ideology upon another person. And what is our state doing? What are the authorities doing in our state in Ireland right now? They're terrorizing our community. They're terrorizing cannabis consumers out there, and they're terrorizing patients too at the same time. Our state is run by a bunch of terrorists in my eyes, you know, going by the definitions that's out there. They're forcing their ideology upon us, you know, this ideology of abstinence, that the greatest way for us to avoid harm from drugs is to remain abstinent from their use. And that's to ignore then the millennia of uses of these substances by humans, I suppose in a healthy, holistic way, you know. Psychedelics, alcohol, cannabis, all of these things, they have a position in society to be used, and they can also be abused too. But the greatest way they're going to be abused is under models of prohibition, as we're all seeing. Kids as young as 3 and 4 getting their hands on jellies, and they're ending up in hospital. And again, as I say, the gravest danger there is that these jellies came from an unknown source. It's not even that they contain cannabis. It's do they contain cannabis, or is it some fucking other worse kind of a drug, you know? So again, waste of our money. Like, well, we need to really rise up, make a load of noise about this and say, hey, we're not happy about this. You know, if you're this individual out there, going to get your name up here now. What's the guy's name? Mr. Lee, 54 years of age. If you're Mr. Lee out there, and if you want to come forward and speak up, do get in touch with me. It says here that you suffer from osteoporosis as well, which again it's another condition, osteoporosis. It's a degradation of the bones. But again, if you're able to use cannabis, which helps maybe you to exercise a bit more, if you can get out there and exercise, maybe walk a bit briskly or something like that, that's actually beneficial in the case of osteoporosis. the stress, it's like it's a hormetic effect. When you put a stressor in there, it causes a strengthening of the bones. If you're just sat in a chair all day because, it's painful to get up and walk, well, guess what? Your bones are actually going to degrade faster. So again, I could see here how cannabis to you would be a benefit. He says also that he mainly uses CBD oils with a small amount of the illegal drugs, as they're saying here, which again, that's actually in line with some of the research that's out there, that using higher amounts of CBD in combination with moderate amount of THC is a very effective way for people to alleviate the pain that they are experiencing, while mitigating the high, if you will, the psychoactive effects of cannabis. So it seems like this guy was doing all the right things for himself. And unfortunately, this judge who referred to him as being, not in his own words, but as being unclean, he gave him the probation service, like, shaming him. Like, they're really letting the people down here in these situations. Like, these judges are blinded by their addiction to treat these drug addicts, again, I say it, like, what qualifies these judges to be treating people, stick to the law, man. Like, this guy doesn't need your intervention at all. He doesn't need to be punished. He doesn't need to be subject to your analysis at all. He needs to be put in front of a medical health professional, and if cannabis is assisting him in attaining a higher quality of life, then he should be fucking given access to it in a quality assured way, so our state can protect him as a consumer, man. The state shouldn't be terrorising by forcing him down this road of abstinence where it's like, no, don't you be engaging in illegal drug behaviour, even if it does improve the quality of your life. Seriously, like, who's going to choose a lesser quality of life? Who? Like, really? Like, if there's a law there that and you're going to hurt nobody else by breaking this law, and in fact you're going to better your own quality of life, you're going to fucking break that law most likely, especially, when it comes to alleviating a symptom of a medical condition. It's silly judges to think, man, that they're going to prevent anybody from using cannabis in these cases. And it really flies in the face of everything that's happening elsewhere in the world, €4 worth of cannabis, like, come on, like, this is taxpayers' money. At a time when we're going into recession, people are out there jobless, and you're going after people for possessing €4 worth of cannabis. Man, he's serious, like. Well, we drive on anyway. I see John O'Regan says, fair is bad for your mental health, and yet we're expected to live with the knowledge that we can be raided and arrested every or any day of the week. Yeah, man, prohibition is bad for collective mental health. 100% it is, and especially for the mental health of young people out there getting caught and criminalised with cannabis. Much like myself, caught with it at 17, the first time I got caught with it, but I wasn't brought to court until I was 18. So I got to experience the court as an adult. Then I wasn't even given the opportunity of the old juvenile slapping the wrist and get away with it. But yeah, man, it wasn't good at all to be treated like that. Irish Canna Clinic as well, what's happening. He says, right on with the importance of the terminology. We have to lead that narrative 100%. And yeah, I see loads of comments out there as well from Ollie. Kenny Tynan, what's happening, Kenny? And the Patients for Safe Access guys says, this is a big opportunity if used well, like Outlaw Limited in the UK. I've said this a long time, that the public is on our side. That Red C poll as well, to go back to it, when we think about it, who takes the time out of their day to take part in this? Like, a lot of the times, when you look at the breakdown there of the people who took part in this poll. Sorry, no, I'm just going to try to get the bits and pieces up on the screen here for you. But when you look at the breakdown of it on the poll here with the age groups, the age groups. So that older age group where there was a load more people kind of against it, that's where most of the poll is going to be made up of that kind of a population, which skews the overall result then at the end. So that's to be kept in mind. So we again, if this was to be an actual more effective, more truthful reflection of Irish society, I'd say we would see a lot larger of support there for cannabis legalisation. So again, yeah, definitely, guys. We really need to use this as an opportunity. Get out there and make noise. There needs to be more protests organised, more opportunities for people to come out and showcase what the cannabis community is, who the cannabis consumers are, to dispel all of the myths about us that we're lazy, unmotivated, college dropouts. You know, all of these myths that were peddled by the prohibitionists. We all need to start coming out now, and again, as I say, the gay community, guys, come out of our closet and loud and proud. You know, that's what we need to be to overcome this, and if we want to see change. So we'll drive on, guys, because we just want to touch back to a case there that I touched on the other day, where a man was caught with 300 grams of cannabis in Dublin, and there was the cannabis there that he was caught with. But this guy was up in court, and he was left out on bail. So again, just to kind of show like how much of a joke these laws are. 300 grand, all right? This guy should be facing now what is a mandatory minimum of 10 plus years, you know, or is it 10 years? And he's out on bail. And guess how much his bail was? €200. This guy handed over €200 after getting caught with 300 grand's worth of cannabis. So-called 300 grand, you know, by the valuation of the state. What is it? It's 15 kilos of cannabis this guy got caught with based on that valuation. But €200 he handed over, and he's allowed out on bail. Now, he had to hand over his passport. He was ordered not to leave the county of Dublin as part of his bail conditions. But still, you know, like, if this guy was such a danger to society, he wouldn't be getting bail at all. So again, they're like, our court systems, they're a joke. They're bringing in people who are not a threat to us. Like, this guy is such a little threat that €200, and go on by, you can go off out there and just go to the Gardai station there every day and sign on. Now, lads, I don't know if you've ever tried to ring a Gardai station, but man, sometimes you be lucky if they answer the phone. Literally, you be lucky if they answer the phone. And meanwhile, like, how many people were sending down to our Gardai stations to sign on? Tony Kyo, go back to the Kyos there, like save Uncle Tony, hashtag Uncle Tony, or whatever those things were going around. Like, but he was another man who was subject to having to be signing on. He got much lesser of conditions than I did. I believe he had to sign on twice a week, or maybe once a week it was. I got to sign on every single day at Mayfield Gardai station for 2 months after I was released from Cork prison on my temporary release conditions. 2 months of going to the Gardai station every single day. Now, I like to go camping. I love to go hiking and things like that with my kids. For that summer, I was released in it was the end of March, kind of in start of April. So April and May, like I was completely cut off from doing all of these things. I wasn't able to go out and enjoy any of that at all. It was ridiculous what I was at to go through every single day, going up to the Gardai station, going in there, having to sign a book, and the other guys going in there then signing it, like they could be up for grievous bodily harm, they could be up for burglary or other shit, like, and here I am going in for my simple personal possession charges every single day, taking up the time of a guard, the same guard who would be answering the phone if you were to be ringing the Gardai station for any other kind of need, you know. Seriously, like, complete waste of resources for any of this to be going on. This isn't an isolated case then either, with people having to sign on for such large amounts of cannabis, because a taxi driver in Limerick, which was another case I dealt with the other day, he was caught with 230 grand's worth of cannabis, and he too is going to be signing on at the local Gardai station above in Henry Street. He is a 62-year-old man by the name of Kieran Canty, and he was before the courts on Saturday, and he was ordered he was given bail conditions, and he has to sign on now. He had to surrender his passport, and he has to provide them with a mobile phone number, and that phone has to be on at all times. That phone can't go dead at all, and it must also contain at least some phone credits to make a phone call. These are the conditions being set by the judge here for this guy. He's to surrender his passport, but he's to go down now and sign on daily at the Gardai station for having 230 grand's worth of cannabis. You know, why? Like, why are we wasting the time of Gardai here for these issues? This guy is a threat to nobody. Why does he have to go and sign on at the Gardai station? Like, I can guarantee you if you went out there and asked people who had to get onto the Garda station how happy they were with maybe the turnaround time with the answering the phones, you'd be probably surprised. It'd be very people would be very disappointed with it. But still, we're continuing to waste the time. The Red C poll shows that there's a very large amount of people out there supporting the idea of ending the criminalisation of cannabis. We see the detriment it causes in our society, the overpowering of organised criminal gangs because of the money they're making from the sale and supply of cannabis to the kids, literally kids out there buying cannabis and selling it on Instagram. I've talked about it in the podcast before, where people are going and meeting up with these plugs on Instagram, and it's a 16, 15-year-old kid, and he's selling jellies, he's selling cannabis, and he's got fucking other things there as well. A lot of the times they're just reselling it on just runners for guys, and that's why you're meeting up with such young people. I tried it out one time myself. I went and bought off a guy in Snapchat about 2 years ago now, I'd say it was, or over a year ago. And it was like a group of them, about 10 or 12 of them walked down the road, mix of age, maybe 14, 15, 16, 17 at most. And one of them ran out of the group over to me. That guy was about 15. I gave him 50 quid. He gave me a 50 bag. And that was it, gone. Nothing said, nice one by sound, Glock. That was it. A 50 bag. I didn't know what was even in it. The guy on Snapchat said there was supposed to be 3.5 grams in it. I went back and I weighed it, and there was 3.3. I was all right, fair enough. But still, imagine if I had the scales there, and if I was a bit of a dick and I started baiting on the young fella, or the group of them, we baiting them for letting us short. But a complete waste of time here anyway. This taxi driver, 62, a threat to nobody, and now having to sign on, go to the guard station in Henry Street there and take up the time of a guard who could be out there helping maybe solve a murder, robbery, rape, who knows what they could be doing. So we drive on because there's more news of a waste of time by the Gardai, and this is coming out of West Cork, where only earlier today 80 grand's worth of cannabis was seized. That was below in, I believe it was below in Macroom in West Cork. It was Gardai attached to the Divisional Drugs Unit searched the house in Macroom shortly before midnight on Friday night. Actually, this was apologies there, midnight on Friday night. And during the search, Gardai found suspected cannabis herb with an estimated value of more than 80 grand. So just over 4 kilos that was found in this property. Also at the property, then a man in his 20s was arrested at the scene and is detained at Bandon Garda Station. He was later released, and a file's been prepared for the DPP, and the cannabis will be sent to Forensic Science Ireland for analysis. Again, all paid for by who? You, the taxpayers out there, guys. Good use of our taxpayers' money. Do you know the pothole there that I encounter on the road to fucking school every morning? That doesn't need to be fixed at all. It's more important there that we go out there and arrest the 20-year-olds out there, providing for the many patients who are without access to cannabis. Again, how many people were benefiting medically from this cannabis that this 20-odd-year-old had in possession? It's criminal, and again, if this dude is out there, if somebody's out there who knows this dude, and if you want to come out here and if you want to share your story, if I touch off of your story, if you know the person whose story I'm touching off of in any of these cases, tell them get on to me. We need to be making more noise. We need to be raising just as much noise as we can as to the waste of time that's going on out there. If you're out there and you're selling cannabis, and if you need, your customers, I know myself when I was providing cannabis before, I talk about it here in the show, that there was an 80-year-old lady that I was selling cannabis to when I was 17. She was in her 80s, 70s, 80s, I don't know her exact age, but she was quite elderly, and I was providing cannabis for her, and I think I told you about it, where she was offering me her prescription drugs. My cousins and stuff were into that kind of thing, and they took her up in those offers, and they used to be getting her bags of weed for and swapping it for tablets and shit. But I wasn't into that sort of thing, and I was just always found it was very interesting that she was getting cannabis from these young fellas, and she talked about it. She was like, no, this really helps my arthritis with my joints, pardon the pun. But she was like, it really loosens them up, and she goes, it really reduces the pain that I suffer with because of the arthritis. And I knew this, and if I was to ever have gotten caught, I wonder, like if I was to have went to her and said, "Come here, I was providing cannabis for you. Like, will you come out and speak out? Like, this is the thing we need to be doing. Like, united we stand, divided we fall. We all need to come out together in support of one another." And that's what I'm saying here. Like, if this is you, if you're out there getting criminalised for any of these charges, come, let's have a conversation, because I don't think you're bad guys. I can't see how you're all bad guys. We can't all be bad guys. There's definitely some bad players out there, but I'd imagine some of us are, while we're probably making a bit of money, you're probably helping a lot of people along the way. So we drive on with the news, and we'll touch back on this one when this guy comes up to court, and maybe if he ever gets in touch with me. But again, more waste of time by our Gardai when they stopped and searched a Courier van who was found to have 122 grams worth of cannabis in the van. So this was a Courier who was 25 years of age, by the name of Kyle Boland of Isola Road, Ringsend, Dublin. And again, this was happened up in Rathfarnham in Dublin on Friday night. He was driving a Ford Transit van which was stopped on Dodder Park Road in Rathfarnham by officers from the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau. He appeared before Judge Anthony Halpin at the weekend sitting of the Dublin District Court. And the detective Garda Stephen Gillespie said the accused made no reply when he was charged with possessing cannabis for sale and supply. He objected to bail due to the seriousness of the case and the possible flight risk. It was alleged that when the van was initially searched, a kilo of cannabis was found. A further search of the vehicle at Talagard station led to another 5 kilos of the drug. The detective said that the total value was 122 grand. The DPP are being sought, and a more serious charge could be brought. The court heard. What could be more serious than sale and supply? Like, really, like, how does it get any worse than that? Like, he agreed that with the defence solicitor Claire Finnegan that the file has not yet been sent to the DPP and the seizure is yet to still be analysed. The detective agreed that the accused could have to wait 2 years until his trial is heard. 2 years, lads, like literally 2 years. The guy gets caught with 80 grand. They're trying to object to bail here, and they're saying it could be about 2 years before his trial could come up. So are they trying to say, like, oh yeah, let's keep this guy in our custody for 2 years because he's a flight risk? Like, where's the evidence that this guy is a flight risk? Like, there was a guy earlier on, and we just talked about, like, 300 grand sort he got caught with, and he got to leave for €200. And we're like, seriously, like, he got caught with 300 grand's worth. I don't know, maybe there's evidence here that this guy was a flight risk. I don't know what the story is. But pleading for bail, the solicitor told the judge that her client worked part-time and his girlfriend was expecting a child. He could lodge 2 grand, and Judge Halpin granted bail but sought a cash lodgement of €10,000 after noting that, coupled with other conditions, allayed Detective Garda Gillespie's fears. Once taken up, the accused must sign on daily at the Garda station and be contactable at all times and notify Gardaí of any changes of address. So again, this guy has to sign on every bloody day at the Garda station. But not only that, like, he had to hand over 10 grand to allay the fears of Detective Garda Gillespie. This guy is expecting a child. I don't know, is he already a father? I'm not too sure what the crack is. But maybe that's the reason why he kind of got into this. He's a part-time courier, and I don't know if any of you know what it's like to be a courier, but man, that is a highly demanding job. Those guys work fucking tooth and nail to earn their money, because a lot of them get paid like very small amounts in terms of their hourly rate, and the only way they really make money is based on commission or number of drops or some shit like that. So they're worked to the bone in order to make any bit of a wage. So this guy, like, seen maybe a soft opportunity. I'm a courier, I have a courier's van. Somebody comes along and says, hey, come here, you're a courier, move a bit of stuff there for us, pick up a package from A and drop it to point B. And the guy was like, yeah, soft money. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? His whole future, his job is most likely going to be gone because of this. His ability to provide for this expected child is going to be reduced. Meanwhile, if the cannabis was legal, this guy could have been working for a cannabis company and doing doorstop deliveries of cannabis, and it would have been no problem. He'd be checking for IDs at the door, shit like this. We create a problem. This is an artificial problem created by a flawed policy that doesn't actually need to exist at all, put in place by a bunch of corrupt individuals who believe that condoms should have been illegal. Like, this is how out of date this law is, and how wrong it is that it remains in place, and how imperative it is that us as a community fucking rise up and make a shit load of noise over this summer. Because I want to see as many protests out there across Ireland as possible. Come on, like, if you support the fight for cannabis legalisation, if there's somebody in your area or if there's people in your area that believe it too, get out there, organise your event, and organise your protest, and raise your voice. Otherwise, you're forever going to be voiceless if you don't do that. So we drive on, because we're getting to the end of the news, almost there. We're at Tipperary, and the next bit of news, where Gardai have seized 30 grand's worth of cannabis and €6,000 in cash. This is in County Tipperary, and just get up my show notes. Crap, I just opened Microsoft Word. But yeah, the show notes there. So the Gardai in County Tipperary have seized a huge haul of drugs and cash following a search of the property last night. The Care District Drugs Unit, accompanied by the Garda Dog Unit, carried out a search on a premises of Caretown after a lengthy surveillance operation. So again, I just want to focus in on this, like, the Care District Drug Unit and the Dog Unit, okay? These are paid for by me and you, taxpayers' money. This is lots and lots of money being used, okay? And then the second part of that sentence, after a lengthy surveillance operation. So again, like, maybe involving unmarked units of Gardai who are paid a lot of money, who are probably putting in a lot of overtime, getting paid even more money. Like, can you see how these guys are benefiting from this war on drugs, and our community is suffering? 30,000 worth of cannabis, that's 1.5 kilos of cannabis. How many patients up in Care are now without access to their cannabis, to maybe reduce their stress load from a hectic fucking week? Above their stacking shelves or out farming, who knows what their job might be that they need some therapeutic access to cannabis for, but they're now less able to get it because of this seizure. And maybe the criminals up there in Care who are going to step in now to fill the void that's left there, are going to maybe charge a bit more, All of these people benefit from it, but meanwhile our community suffers, because not only is there criminals out there empowered selling this cannabis in their community, and the community is getting no benefit from it, but the same Gardaí then, who are supposed to be keeping the community safe, are less effective in doing so. So we're all losing out, and we all have to rise up again. Even if you're not a drug user, guys, get out there, make noise, and call for an end to this fucking nonsense. There was a male, our officer seized 30,000 worth of cannabis for pending analysis, along with 6,000 worth of cash and a weighing scales and other paraphernalia. A male was arrested at the scene and is currently in custody. No age given there, actually. So yeah, again, more waste of time above there in Care. Small town, 30 grand's worth of cannabis above there. If you know this guy, if you want to get in touch, if you want to share your story, by all means do. Drop me a message, drop me an email. I'd gladly have a conversation with you anyway and help support the cause. So we drive on, guys, and in the final bit of news then, we pop on outside of Ireland. We pop on over to Malta, where over in Malta, the Doctors' Union have come out against the legalisation of recreational cannabis. That's very, it's kind of like saying the turkeys don't like Christmas, you know what I mean? That the turkeys are after voting against turkey for Christmas, Of course the doctors are going to be against the legalisation of recreational cannabis, especially when their pockets are so heavily lined by the pharmaceutical companies, who would stand to lose a lot should patients be giving access to a more effective means of accessing cannabis, and that be with an adult market in place. Again, if there's no adult market in place, that the demand for cannabis access would be greater. and there being a monopoly, I suppose, really in place, because you can only go then to maybe the chemist that could dispense it, the small number of doctors that would be willing to give you a prescription for it. You see how they create their monopoly, how they stand to benefit from this. So it's no surprise here really that the doctors have come out against this. But really, like when you think of it, for doctors, like they should be out in support of this, because they say that they support the decriminalisation of it, which is kind of counterproductive really. You support the decriminalisation of it, but you don't support the regulation of it. Surely if you're a doctor, the best thing for the health of your patient is that they get access to a regulated product, that you shouldn't be only supporting decriminalisation, that you should be supporting legalisation. So I don't know, something's fishy about that, and it really stinks. It stinks bad. It seems like these guys are corrupt individuals looking after their own needs, their own desires, and not the needs and desires of the patients out there, who would be much better off should cannabis just be legalised once and for all. Again, if cannabis was legalised once and for all, it would reduce the stigma that exists out there, and it would enable patients then to have an honest conversation with their doctor about cannabis use, for whether it be a medical condition, or whether they might think that they're abusing it. They might feel like, look, I'm addicted to cannabis, and I'm seeking help in order to get off it. That's very much a possibility for people out there. I've never come on here and said cannabis is not addictive. There's certainly people out there who can get addicted to cannabis, and that's possible. That's very possible. While I will say that is a very, very small number of people, but even that number is one out of everyone. That person deserves access to help, and I would imagine with prohibition in place, then access to help is going to be lowered, because they're going to be less likely to come to their doctor and say, hey, I use cannabis, if cannabis is illegal. So again, you know, it's a bit counterproductive here, these doctors coming out against legalisation. But as I say, you know, their pockets have probably been heavily lined by the pharmaceutical companies out there. Again, I was over in Malta for a medical cannabis conference there back in 2019, and it seemed a bit, I don't know, man, the guys over there were chasing the money. They didn't give a shit about the patients. That was my feeling. I met one of the doctors over there in Casas, that was there with me as well at the time, and yeah, that doctor was saying it, you know, how he was being ridiculed by the health profession there. He was being isolated, I suppose, and he was holding these educational events for the doctors of the island and for patients too, around educating them around using medical cannabis. And he was threatened that he would lose his license for holding these free events that were only for delivering information. They were like, no, you're advertising the use of medical cannabis, and that's illegal. You shouldn't be doing that. That's unethical. And yeah, it was crazy. And we went to Prime Minister there at an old wine and cheese event. And he kind of, like, he had no interest in providing cannabis at all for the people of Malta. It was only about bringing in the big money, the big investment that was there from places like Israel. Feckers right now boycott Israel. But all of that money that was coming in from Israel with medical cannabis research and medical cannabis production, because if they get to set up facilities in Malta, well, Malta's in Europe, and that is a way around like a lot of the taxes and shit around import. So they were only interested in that, around setting up production for exportation. Corrupt, man, horrible. It felt icky. I didn't want to be there anymore. I was just like, what are we even doing here? Like, you know, this wasn't my crowd, man. Dudes in suits and all of this shit, like literally just talking money by, and they didn't give a shit about, like, you know, the prohibition of cannabis. That was never even a topic of conversation there really over the weekend. It was all about like medical cannabis production, GMP this, GMP that, you know, make money here, profit margins there, you know. There was never about, like, you know, patients being criminalised. Although Carly Jane was there, the brainchild of the CAN card, and again she was just there. I reckon she was just being used by people in the background, because of her position in the community. You know, she was a grassroots activist. You know, coming up, had a lot of people there supporting her. And next, you know, along comes people and said, hey, look, there's this card. And next they make almost £1 million or something like that selling cards. and meanwhile people are still getting stopped and searched. What? You have to pay for a card so that you don't have your cannabis. Like, how is this a good thing? That's look, I'm not even going to get into that. That's a topic for another day around the can card. I would love to get Carly on to have a discussion with her on it and what's going on there. Like, you know, what's the next step with the can card? Because the things have to change if they're in conversation with the police over there. But that's it, guys. Nice one, everybody, for tuning in. That is all of today's 420 news. Absolutely delighted to get back out there and to deliver some more 420 news to you guys. I'm going to quickly pop through some of your comments. Darn it, I forgot to bring some Ishka with me to keep myself lubricated. Not to worry, we'll get through this. Stephen is saying here the €4 case has to be a watershed moment and the use of unclean is off the scale. Irish prohibition is an international embarrassment. Yeah, I certainly feel that way, man. I feel embarrassed to be Irish with a lot of these cases that I've been hitting off of here on the 420 news over the last couple of months. But yeah, this one for €4 is certainly hitting there with the lows. I don't think it's been the lowest though. It might have been bad in terms at the worst in terms of how the judge referred to the person and dealt with the person. But I think there's been people up for less. Like I think I've seen cases for €2 and €3 before. Like, but maybe I'm thinking of like talking to people rather than what I reported on here on the news. But it's crazy. Like yeah, €4. Like how low can we go? Like that's what I would love to do. Like with that civil disobedience challenge. Do you know, like I have my grinder here, like, and like just take a little speck, like, you know, and where is it there? Like that. Like that's cannabis right now, like, you know what I mean? That's cannabis. I put that into a bag. I've got like what? 50 cent worth of cannabis, like like how low can we go? Like how low are the DPP willing to bring a person to court for it? Like, you know, I would love to test that and see. But maybe over time, maybe it's something I could set out to do. Daily Talker says it's sick that we are forced to feel like criminals and bad people and bad citizens when it is very evident that people that partake in psychedelic use tend to be good people. 100%, man. Good people use drugs too. This is the fucking the propaganda put out there by the prohibitionists, you know, to try to paint drug users as bad people. No, we're fucking not. And just because you use drugs while they're illegal doesn't make you a bad person either, as the judge in the case with the 70-year-old man there in West Cork kind of claimed. That was the 70-year-old man where he got caught with, I think it was like €1,000 worth of cannabis down in Cool Mountain. I reported on it there last night with the lads on High and Homegrown. But he was kind of like this lifestyle of thinking you're above the law. It's not. It's just like thinking that the law is not above you either. You know, there's certain laws that you'll follow because you know morally that it's right to follow them. There's some laws you'll break because you know morally it's right to fucking break them. Come on, like, you know, these judges, they give me a break, man, with the way in which they treat us and view us and discriminate against us just so openly. It's shameful. As I say, you know, the way in which the Gardai are out there now supporting the gay community, it's only a matter of time now before we'll force their hand and they'll have to fucking go out with the green bulbs and a big cannabis leaf on the front of the thing and a cannabis plant on the roof and smoke coming out the bloody side of the windows, you know, the Jeep fogged out. But they'll come out in support of our community too, and they'll have to apologise for how wrong they treated us all along. It's only a matter of time. Podge, what's happening, Podge? Podge says it's not the system's fault, it's how twisted the government is when it wants its friends in power. That's very true as well, man. The government are to blame, but still at the same time, you know, if you're a person, you put on this uniform and you go to work and you know your work is wrong, come on, do you have any integrity? Sure, I would like to think that there's people out there with integrity. Come on, have a deep look inside yourself and ask yourself if what you're doing is right, why continue doing it? Just don't, like, come on. How do you sleep at night? Teresa says here, in surveys done at your front door, and I think Red Sea are, there are the same amount polled in each age setting. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't realise that actually if they try to balance the amount of people in each age setting. Interesting, yeah. So Yeah, but still, I suppose you think of the type of people who would answer a poll. They might be they could tend to be a bit more conservative. But yeah, as polls go. Pods 4420 says the only way to get attention is huge marches and protests. Exactly, guys, and smoke ups are protests. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, literally, if you want to organize an event as a smoke up, that is a civil disobedience protest. Like, I'm all for those kind of gatherings like that. That's where our community is able to fly its flag loud and proud. Because, you know, much like the gay community used the rainbow flag as a means of standing out, for us, it's kind of right now our strongest way of standing out is the smell. So smoke ups are great ways of protesting, doing in wide open public spaces, and you know, just getting out there and not being afraid to participate. You know, that's the most important thing about the protest is mass participation. I was happy with the small protest we had for Bob Marley's anniversary there, his 40th anniversary, but you know, I would hope over the summer we will be able to attain larger numbers coming out and all together collectively breaking this law in order to capture the attention of the media so we can be taken more seriously. As I said, there's massive support, guys, out there. There's a massive amount of us who are currently in the closet, and hopefully we can get more and more of us out, because if we can come out of the closet, guys, we can overcome this oppression that we've been facing for so fucking long. I see loads of comments coming in there, guys. So many there now. I haven't been able to get back to the earlier ones, so I'm only going with what I can see here. So apologies if I missed your comments from earlier. Podge here saying that taxpayers' money going to waste, and for what? Like, just so that they can catch guys that consume cannabis that are no danger to our community, but we have to hide like criminals. Such a waste of time, man. Percy's Greenbeard, he says, how's it going? What's happening, Greenbeard, man? Hope you're doing good. Pleasure hanging out with you guys last night. Hopefully we can do it again sometime soon. Man Falls, what's happening, Man Falls? He says it's like arresting more people because the prisons are empty. Yeah, you know, if you recall there back at the start of the pandemic, they were actually releasing people from prisons, so they probably made a bit more room in prisons because of that, and now they're trying to fill back up the vacancies as we're getting back to business. And yeah, it just seems like they're definitely criminalising more people. And the drug detection numbers as well, you know, by our Gardai have gone up. Mainly because they have less drunkards now to be dealing with, you know. There's no Friday nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night drunk people on the streets for them to be out dealing with, so they have more time now to be hassling us non-violent cannabis consumers, you know. There's a lot more drug detections now because of these COVID checkpoints. So we're going to be seeing even more people being brought to court now over the next year or two than we have in the previous years. You know, I think that the number was like up over 20% on previous years' drug detection rates. Again, all because of how bored and free our Gardai are now, because they're not out there dealing with some of the stuff they've been dealing with beforehand, or such as drunk people. Pods, again, these health officials just want to run your life their way. And they're terrorists. They want to force you to live in their ideological way. They're this idea that abstinence, like, you know, abstinence from these drugs. But look, if you want to smoke, if you want to smoke tobacco, go ahead. If you want to drink alcohol, go ahead, despite the ill effects that these cause to your health. Do you know, we trust you to make sensible decisions around the consumption of these drugs. People get addicted to tobacco, people get addicted to the alcohol, but we're okay with you experimenting with these, despite the inherent dangers. But these other drugs, you know, cannabis, you know, that plant that's it's got anti-inflammatory properties, anti-tumor properties, you know, it's anti-convulsant, it's got anti-emetic properties, it's got so many fucking anti-properties. But don't use that one, because that one might make you feel good. That one might make you feel better about yourself. That might make you question what the government is doing. Do you know? It might make you think for yourself. It might ground you and make you more present. So don't do that one. You know, it really makes you think. Like, don't do psychedelic mushrooms, because it might expand your way of thinking and open you up to new ways of thinking. Oh man, it really does. Like they're terrorists, man. They've really like they're making us live in a very unnatural way. This prohibition of drugs, it's only existed over the last 80 odd years, and look at the problems it's caused. Look how many kids are today are on anti-psychotic drugs. You know, look how sick our society is. Is it because of the absence of maybe some of these substances that might have been a bit more widely used before? Who knows? You know, just throwing it out there as a possible maybe reason. Daily Talker says it's all in place to control the people with open minds. It had to be. That's somewhere along the lines of what I was just thinking there myself, man. And Cassidas Dragas says the government threatened to remove the medical license of the GP for hosting educational trainings for other doctors. There you go, like that was it, like a threat. Again, terrorists, man. These authorities out there are terrorists. They're terrorizing people to abide by their ideologies. You can't be doing this now, you know what I mean? Like, why shouldn't you be able to hold an educational event to train other doctors to help their patients? That's surely what we should expect out of our doctors, no? And we wonder why there's not enough doctors out there speaking. Like, look at this shit, like, that's going on out there, like. Cassidy Strugas also saying I was invited on stage and called them out. I called them out all the scams, fun times. Yeah, it certainly was. I really enjoyed that one, man. So fair play. Hopefully we'll be able to get back out there and represent the cause at more events in the future. But until then, it looks like we're going to be committed to our own protest that we organise ourselves, both online and in person. Myself and Cassida Strugas, as I say, will be working together to organise the Support Don't Punish event here in Cork City, Ireland, on the 26th of June. So do keep an eye out for that one. Should have more on it soon. Greenbeard, what's happening, man? He says, great show and highly informative as always, Martin. Keep our lip, brother. Nice one, Greenbeard, man. It's a pleasure as always to have you in the audience, bud. And Podge says the only thing with a Canna card is the danger of handing your info over and then the pigs kick your door in because they know you consume cannabis. Yeah, like, why should you have to register at all? Like, surely there shouldn't be this extra layer of data gathering just based solely upon your use of cannabis by a private company as well. Like, if you have a medical card and you go to your chemist and you need to be dispensed cannabis from your chemist, the only person should have that data should be your chemist and your doctor who prescribed it and dispensed it to you. Why should you have to register with some private company who have nothing at all to do with the supply of your medication, just to give you a card for, again, some other authority force, some other force there who has nothing again to do with your medication? Why have this extra layer? It's why? Like, why create it in the first place? I just don't understand it. If you're talking with the authorities, like, surely the conversation should have been, there's people out there who use cannabis for medical reasons and you need to stop criminalizing people, and you can't differentiate between them, so you should actively be engaging with the government to remove cannabis from the Misuse of Drugs Act. That would be much more better use of your time, rather than creating this fucking system that's going to be in place now for another 3 or 4 years, and meanwhile patients who grow are not even included in this. Silly, like. Seems like a bit of a sellout, like. Martin Organ saying here, I got busted for a joint's worth, if that. Sad to hear, man. Have you been up already, Martin? Or what's the crack? What was the outcome of that? If you have been up, do let us know. Skitana says, shit, my comments were locked up in full screen, so far no bad side effects. Felt a bit nauseous earlier, so smoked a THC CBG spliff and drank water. Quite okay now. Daily Talker saying they bust people for specks of green, so it's not a bad idea to shove it in their faces and hand yourself in with a speck of weed. 100%, guys. Maybe that might be the next protest I might organise, a mass protest of civil disobedience where we meet up and we march to the Garda station and we all go into the Garda station together. I think, yeah, as I say it now, I think I will actively work at setting a date and a location for us to meet and do that. So if people would like to do it, if you're not afraid of going into a Garda station together, having your name taken and going before the courts as part of a protest, as a collective. Get in touch, let me know, and I'll include you. But I'll be making it a public event as well. But I definitely would love to know if people would be willing to partake in such a protest before going ahead and organising it. I'd hate to show up there in the day and to be walking into the Garda station again alone. I would love to be doing it with maybe 10 or 20 people. That would be a great way to protest. 10 or 20 I think is certainly a number we could achieve, but maybe 100 would be even fucking more powerful. Like maybe 420 would be perfect. If we got to 420, I would start turning people away and I'd be saying, hey, you have to start a new group, sorry, but but yeah, certainly that would be a target. WRT Gunner 43, thanks for your hard work again, Martin, and enjoy the rest of the day. Nice one for that, man. Enjoy the rest of your day as well. Hopefully it's a nice blazed one. Mustawes as well, saying you're talking there with Skatanist. I hope you're all good, Mustawes. Seen your super chat coming in there earlier as well. Much appreciated for the support. Pods 4420 says, no, it's true, man. Where I lived in Carlow back years ago, the cops would get out the sellotape and get the crumbs of hash out of the corner of the pockets. I know a few lads who got done for 0.1 of a gram. I've heard of that being done as well, actually. Cops using sellotape, like sticky tape, to pick up cannabis, like from inside fellas' pockets and off the floor of a car as well. Scumbags, if they go to such fucking lengths in order to find the little bits of cannabis on a person. John Finnegan as well, giving a shout out to the Greenbeard and Percy's grow room. He says, even the name of that lifts my spirit. Other comments there as well, guys. Free the Birds coming in from Podge, guys. Yeah, keep those photos coming in as well, guys, for Feed the Birds. I see loads of people out there engaging in it. I see some plants being potted up in flower boxes and in at roundabouts as well. I have one or two there that a buddy is going to be given to me, and I hopefully will get out into the city over the next few days. I'm back in the labs tomorrow, actually. Yes, I can't wait. I'm really excited to get back in the labs and do some experiments in college, that is. But after that, then Wednesday, Thursday, again, I'm back on college duty online, so I'll try to do some guerrilla planting for Feed the Birds and Overgrow the Government campaign. And Greenbeard is also saying civil disobedience is the only way to make us be heard. 100%, man, civil disobedience. And with that in mind, yes. Yes, I would like a bit of civil disobedience. Mustawa is here saying that he went with raspberry leaf instead of tobacco. Best movie ever made. No longer an addict. And thanks, Podge, for the inspiration. Yes, go on, Podge. Yes, you legend. Guys, kick that tobacco. Like, and I'm not trying to be judgy or anything, like, but it is very addictive. If you're going to go for tobacco, try to grow your own. Grow your own tobacco and dry it and smoke it that way. I guarantee it could be a lot less addictive. I think that tobacco that's been grown and put into the pouches and the shit that you're buying in the shops, like it's a lot more addictive than what you would grow yourself. That's not to say that the stuff you grow yourself isn't going to be addictive either, but I definitely think that will be less harmful for you, because you can grow it yourself. You know what's going on. You're not going to add any of the nasty shit that the tobacco companies add to it, such as benzenes to help it burn longer and stuff like that, like some nasty shit that they add into it, like. But yeah, guys, tobacco or raspberry leaf there is a good alternative to tobacco. There's other ones as well, like there's good herbal mixes out there as well, like and yeah, you know, smoking is probably always the least healthy way to consume your cannabis. I would always advise people to maybe go for vaporizing. But I'm a hypocrite. Like, I just had 2 bong hits there in front of you, like, you know. So as I said, like, you know, old habits they die hard, and you just can't beat a bong hit. Like, it's just something about it. Like, I don't know, is it the sound, or is it just you know, I don't know what it is. But I used to feel the same way about joints when I was trying to transition over to bongs. I used to always be like, oh yeah, it's just something about the joint making, you know, oh, I just like making joints. And slowly but surely I got over to the bongs. And I like the bongs because it adds that layer of water to filter out any of the water soluble compounds. Again, what I'm after are the cannabinoids and some of the terpenes. These are less soluble in water and will transition through and be carried over into smoke. And hopefully the smoke, I expect, will be cleaner because of the water layer. So again, you know, just harm reduction, us as consumers trying to make healthier choices, and trying to be a bit more responsible, and most importantly, reduce the harms. Teresa, that's happening. Teresa says, defo, some people just refuse to do them, but it depends on the area also. I used to do them. Yeah, sorry, I'm lost there now as to what you used to do. Maybe the comments are gone from earlier. A nice one for the comment nonetheless. Anyway, Teresa, I hope you're doing good. What else is out there? Just flicking through some of your comments. Daily Talker is asking, did you ever smoke mint leaves? The only time I smoked mint leaves is when they carried some DMT, and that was at a Boomtown Music Festival, and that was quite an experience. The minty fresh hit, along with an extremely refreshing trip. Highly recommended if you haven't already tried so. You can infuse many types of leaves with DMT, and mint was the one that this person who had the changa with him. It was really nice and an incredible experience. Really transformative. Like, I highly recommend it if you haven't already done it. But definitely do your homework before ever delving into any kinds of psychedelics. Know what you're about to get yourself into. Other comments out there as well. Casa de Struga says, there are many Gardaí who support reform. They need to support the consumers. Yeah, there is. I've definitely met one or two Gardaí who kind of were sympathetic towards the cause, but at the same time, they felt that they had to do their job. It's like, it's hard, like, you know, it's a tough one. But I'll always be optimistic. I will say that, like, you know, I'll always think that there is more good Gardaí out there than there are bad. I would think that anyway. Like, it's just that this idea, this illusion that they can't speak out, you know, that makes it seem then that there is a lot more bad Gardaí out there. And I suppose there is, you know, that's saying that if there's one bad cop and if there's 99 good cops, and if the 99 good cops say nothing about the one bad cop, well, you've got 100 bad cops. That makes sense as well. I would agree with that kind of a way of thinking. And Podge says here that he's nearly 3 months off the tobacco and don't regret my choice on giving it up. There you go, guys. Like, and you look at the price of tobacco as well. Like, how can people afford that? I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, how can I afford to smoke pure?" But like, how can you afford to buy tobacco and be addicted to it? Your health is paying and your pocket is paying all at the same price. Like, meanwhile, you remove the tobacco. Not only will your taste buds thank you, but you will enjoy cannabis so much fucking more. You'll really appreciate the taste of good cannabis once you give up the tobacco. So I do definitely recommend trying to give up tobacco to people out there who feel like they're addicted or they can't, or maybe that they don't want to. If you don't want that, then fair enough, man. Keep going for it. Like, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to try to force you to do anything. But that's just my feeling of it. I'm glad. I'm like Podge, man. I'm so thankful of that decision to give up tobacco all those years ago. Other comments out there. John Finnegan says, Martin Conn and I had a very enjoyable debate today on the Gestapo Puss Book page. Talk about banging your head against the wall. Yeah, man, some of the people you can meet out there on it. And I think there's a load of trolls out there actually who love to go on to the Garda page when they have a post up there about cannabis. I think that they know that they're going to trigger people within their own community to respond. So they'll say it's things like, "Oh, well done, Gardaí. Great job taking that filth off the street," or taking that dirt off the street, or, you know, taking those drugs off the street. And then straight away, you know, there's going to be responses from the likes of John, from the likes of myself before when I used to do it, and be like, what they're doing is wasting our time, and they're putting us at risk, and da 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 da. All the 100 reasons you can come up with, like, as to why this is a bad thing for the Gardaí to be doing. So just for the sake of your own mental health, I suppose, be mindful as to how much time and how emotive you might get around replying to people's comments on Facebook and things like that. Try to be, I suppose, if you're going to try to change somebody's mind, try to do it in person rather than on Facebook. You do it on Facebook, you run the risk of meeting a troll. If you do it in real life, if you do it at work, say with a work colleague who might who might not be privy to this kind of way of thinking, that's going to be a million times more beneficial than trying to do it to some stranger on Facebook who might be just a complete troll anyway, out to waste your time. So just be mindful of that. That's something I encountered myself over the years, is engaging in these responses, and you're going back to Facebook waiting for a reply from fucking Mr. Stranger Face. Why does it matter if Mr. Stranger Face replies, really, and as I say, like, a lot of the times I reckon I was engaging with trolls who just love to waste time and love to engage on the issue, maybe. Stick to the in-person stuff is kind of what I'm saying anyway. Cassidus Dragas, a friend of mine uses mint to mix with cannabis. I suppose better to grow the mint yourself, or the source might not be organic. Only way to know for sure. Yeah, mint is a good thing to mix with your cannabis actually as well. There's other kind of citrusy leaves out there as well. There's so many herbs out there that you can mix in with your cannabis. And especially as well if you're what they know as a terpene chaser, well, why not actually be chasing terpenes then and mixing your cannabis in with things like with mint, with other kind of a citrusy leaves out there, lemon balms and stuff like that. No, actually, don't be smoking lemon balm. I don't think that's wise. But there's family members of the mint family that you can get things like strawberry flavors from mint. You can get like apple flavors in mint. So the mint family is another really valuable plant actually alongside of cannabis, especially when it comes to, say, something like an alternative for tobacco. Cassidus Strugas also saying here, CanCard doesn't work because it's not supported by the medical professional. So what's the point in signing up? Yeah, that was the thing actually. The British Medical Professional Authority, whatever they're called, they came out against the CanCard in an open kind of statement, kind of saying, any of their doctors who apply for it, that they're acting against the wishes of the organisation. And there is many doctors out there in the UK who won't support the application currently for patients to the CanCard. So yeah, it definitely is. It's a flawed system at the moment. Martin Horgan actually updating on his half a joint, I suppose you were kind of saying earlier, less than a joint. €100 fine. Nice judge, struck it off the records. So it was like one of the donations to charity, 100 quid to charity, and you got off with it then at that point, no conviction. Happy days, I suppose, in certain regard, like, but it's just a shame, man. You had your joint taken off you, and now you have to pay for that privilege too. Sad, like, really. Hopefully we can change that sometime soon, man. Mr. Always here saying DDoS the guards. Yeah, shout out to the guys, the hackers out there. Fuck off my health service and go after our guards, boys, will you? Surely, like, clear off me criminal record there and all of the drug users out there. That would be a very righteous cause there for any kind of Robin Hood type hacker group out there. Break into the cops' records there and clear all their criminal records. I'm gonna have to go and get some ishka there in a second. I say, fucking hitting that cottonmouth hard. Shouting in the bucket says, been off the cannabis a few months now. I'm worse off without it. Still a little break is all right too. Definitely, there's nothing wrong with a tolerance break, is if it's by choice. But just be mindful, I suppose, when you go back to it, that tolerance is going to be low. Be mindful, but enjoy it. There was one time when I went through a dry period there for, I believe it was like a month or something like that, or maybe about 3 weeks. I had nothing, and there was fuck all around the place, and I can remember I I ended up getting my grinder. I hadn't up until this point cleaned my grinder. I was like, I'll save it now to a rainy day. And I cleaned the grinder anyway, and it was like a nice little bit of keef there. I had like 2 bowls of keef, and I hit the 2 bowls one after the other, and I went in to watch a movie, and I swear, like, it wasn't far off fucking that mint and DMT that I had. Like, I was borderline tripping. Like, I was like really having an intense high. But it was all keef that I was hitting at the time after a 3-week abstinence, like. And yeah, it was quite intense. I definitely recommend it. Like, it was worth like giving up cannabis for 3 weeks just to kind of go and have a very intense experience. Like, it's kind of like gripping my seat at stages. Like, it was that intense. But not negative, not in a bad way. But I could see actually how it could be bad for a person who mightn't be up for such a challenging experience. Daily Talker saying here that last year I got busted with a grinder with keef. Guard never bagged it as evidence, but I did get to sign a jail oath for trespassing. Lucky you, man. So you didn't have to go up for the drugs charge. So lucky you. Daily Talker here saying mint is extremely easy to grow once you plant it. It will settle in and spread the lovely smell around. Yeah, word of caution if you're planting mint in your garden is to use deep root dividers to try to ensure that the mint doesn't actually spread all over your garden, unless you want it to. If you don't mind it, then fair enough. But yeah, mint will spread vigorously through the roots. It's rise, I can't remember the term for it, but it'll repropagate itself off of like a kind of little piece of root, and it spreads on the ground, taking over vast areas. But I love it. I have it in my garden, and as I say, I've a strawberry cheesecake flavour one out there. That was actually what was on the label, strawberry cheesecake. And there was apple cinnamon bun was the other one. Got those from Deep Root Gardening here in Cork, actually. If you're ever in around Deep Root, check them out. Greenbird saying, there's no fear of that ever happening to me. There's never crumbs in me pocket. Martin, your activism gives me hope. Keep fighting the good fight, and that comes in from F. Fwetch. Podge says here, I have wild mint growing outside. If anyone needs, I can sort it out. Yeah, excellent. And if anybody needs some DMT, check out the dark web. John Finnegan says, as if you needed encouragement, Mr. Condon. Just flaking through some last year comments there. I'll have one more bang hit and I'll get on out of here then and go get some jogging done. I'll finish off day 17 of the 14 kilometre challenge today, or the 420 kilometre challenge. I'll get my 14 kilometres done today there in the next hour. And looking outside, I see some blue skies. Yoo-hoo! Although I was out running yesterday and it lashed down on top of me, and it was very weird at the time, man. I had a very weird one with my emotions. I was just kind of thinking on things at the time, just with everything I was going through, as to how the last number of runs I was feeling quite bad. I wasn't really mentally centered. I wasn't myself. I was off center in the mind, and I was feeling bad, and then I was thinking about like so many other people who were out there who would experience these feelings too, and then I started crying. I was jogging along, and next I just like felt the emotions well up, and kind of tears came, like, I could feel it come up, and I was just like, it was powerful stuff, like, and I was pissing down rain, like fucking monsoon kind of rain, like. But it was very cleansing. That's what I was thinking at the time, like, that this was like cleansing me of all of that nasty shit that I was feeling over the last few days, and that's what I felt like, that shit was just leaving me, like, it was like, oh, at last, like, I don't have such a fucking burden on me, at last now I have my phone with me and I'm ready to go live and share my update and be more upbeat about life, and more optimistic about where life is going. Whereas the last few days I felt very down, very beaten, very downtrodden. And like, yeah, it was very emotional. And the rain, then it was just like, it was just washing all that away, and out was coming the sun. It was just like, it was very symbolic, the whole thing, like very powerful stuff. It was probably, being high as well definitely helped with the experience. Both a runner's high and cannabis high. Casada Stragas saying here, need a good herb vaporizer such as the mighty, otherwise it's not worth it. 100%. Get a Volcano, guys. If you vape at home, if you do it regularly, Volcano is a great investment. Martin, Greenbeard's got a bounce. Yeah, I'm going to have to bounce myself too as well. I always intend to try to keep these to an hour-long shows, and it's an hour and a half now. Sorry, guys. But nice one for popping along, Greenbeard. It's a pleasure, as always, to have you in the audience. Podchair saying, DMT and mint, must try that. Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it, guys. DMT and mint is a great combination. Casa de Straga says, bong in the freezer and take it out when you need. Summer is coming, gotta stay cool. Keep it frosty. Daily Talker says, I try distilled, keep it cleaner, I think. Kept it cleaner, I think. Yeah, distillate is good, alright. Or distilled water, is that what you're on about, actually? I'm not too sure there now, actually. See all the bong talking there as well. Marcus Aurelius, what's happened, Marcus? Irish people need to stop referring to ganja as drugs. Drugs are made, not grown, for fuck's sake. Especially the old people collecting bags of tablets from the chemist weekly, spending hundreds on this shit. Exactly. Cannabis is a plant. Opium is a plant. Coca is a plant. Cocaine is a drug. Heroin is a drug. THC is a drug. Cannabis is a plant. 100%, man. I 100% agree with you there with that. Our terminology, the narrative in this is, as the Irish Canna Clinic said, it's very important that we carry ourselves well and articulate ourselves properly, I suppose. Daily Talker there as well, saying that mint and DMT recipe may be just what I need to finally make the stuff for myself. Yeah, definitely. If know your source, that's all I say when it comes to these chemicals. John O'Regan says, after 40 years of smoking tobacco, I can't smell flowers. Oh man, you're missing out in life. If you can't smell flowers, like, jeez, you're really missing out, dude. Other comments there as well. Casada Stragas says, Facebook employees trolling us to maintain free content by the community. Best to get off it altogether. That's true, actually. What do we have over there? 14 people at the moment now watching on Facebook. We'll keep it on driving or over there, alright, but I see the YouTube audience is definitely building. But look, no matter what platform we're going to be on, like, there is a bit of like censorship there in some regards. I think YouTube is definitely maybe less censoring, I suppose, when it comes to cannabis. You can actually search it on their search bar and they won't block out your results as Facebook do. I definitely do have my problems there, but maybe over time as things change, maybe Facebook will be brought to task over in America, where they have like hopefully soon maybe the undoing of the federal criminalization of it, opening up to maybe suing of Facebook for banning the advertising of cannabis on the platform. It is rather discriminatory. The patients can't even post about like the benefits that their kids are experiencing in regards to the medical cannabis. So there is definitely a big problem of censorship on Facebook at the moment. So yeah, so maybe if people agree with that, if people want to agree with the fucking boycott Facebook, like let's see. Let's get that marker down to 0 and everybody get over there to Facebook or to get over there to YouTube and Twitch. I definitely tried to use Facebook less myself, alright. I tried to use all of them less, to be honest. It's bad for the mind. Mustawa says, those herbs sound savage, must throw some of these out. Cheers, Martin. And Other comments coming in there. St. Vincent's there as well from Martin Horgan. King, that was the charity you had to give it to, was it? Yeah. So Vincent de Paul. King Green, hey Martin, you ever try lemon cheese? About to get some lemon cheesecake? I've tried lemon cheesecake, but I haven't ever tried lemon cheese cannabis. Lemon cheesecake as in the actual dessert. I haven't. I've tried lemon skunk. I've tried cheese. I love cheese. I love lemon skunk. So maybe lemon cheese is a cross of the two, and it can only be good. So do definitely if you want me to if you want me to try some out and give you feedback, let me know, man. Daily Talker says, grow your own herbs, guys. Plant once and they will keep coming back. Guys, grow everything yourself. If you've got the space, do it, like, you know. So enjoyable. Other comments there, guys. So many comments, guys, and so little time. There we go. Empty out that bowl. Daily Talker here says, I live bamboo, just germinated my first 3 seeds. Puppy ate one earlier, for feck's sake. And he says, correcting himself, I love bamboo. Podge85 says, I could do with some DMT though. I might have some left over, Podge, man. We'll have a look around, we'll see. John Finnegan there says, strawberry cheesecake, mint plant. I believe you, Martin. Thousands of others wouldn't. Get down to Deep Root Gardening, guys. They got some decent herbs down there. All your mint needs. And they got all your growing needs as well. All the equipment you could ever want. And there's other words out there as well worth mentioning, but too many to mention right now. Get through your comments. Darren T says, hit that like button before I watch. Go on, Darren T, you legend. Shine in the Bucket says, was getting bamboo to germinate, and what strain was hard getting bamboo to germinate. Oh, yeah, there is actually. I've heard that before as well. Podge85 says, I'm well jealous of you, WRT Gunner. What are you smoking? Man Falls here is letting people know that Twitch is where it's at, guys. If you've got a Twitch account, guys, it's Martin's World 420 News. So give it a follow there. I think we're after just getting over 50 followers. I see only one person watching over there at the moment, but look, we'll grow that audience too, won't we? I'll get some more gaming done. I think that's how I'm going to grow the Twitch audience. I've been always saying it, but with college, I haven't been able to do my gaming. I've been doing it on the PlayStation because I just like the zombies. But I haven't been able to do the zombies and hook it up to the streaming at the same time. So I haven't been able to do that. But maybe in time I'll pick up that what's it called, the that fucking HDMI link there to stream it. But maybe we'll see. It's not up on my priority list right now. Sorry, guys. Daily Talker says, a few seeds came up after about a month, hoping more will come up. I got Green Stripe 7 meter and Golden Grove 20 meter. Man, they sound like some serious bamboo sticks. Other comments coming in there, guys, and we're just down to the end of them there as well. Oh, please give it to me, Martin. Not a bother at all. If I can fish some out, if I find some, or if I know somebody who has some, I'll certainly put you in touch. And Jamie Power as well says, keep her lit, and that's coming in via super chat. Jamie, man, you're an absolute legend for that, man. Thanks very much. The support is always much appreciated. Other comments coming in there. Podge giving out his PS4 gamer tag. It's Podge22. Everybody sees a Podge, so I'm sure you don't mind me saying it. I'll certainly add you there later on. It's not going to be too hard to remember it anyway. I think mine is Dr. Ganjaman. Quite fitting. So yeah, guys, that's all it. I've got a bowl packed here, and I'm going to sign off with that one. If there's any other comments that get in there in the next couple of seconds that are worth reading out, I'll read them out before we go. But again, thanks everybody for your participation in today's show, guys. Much appreciated to the people who supported the show with the super chats and with the donations up to now. Much appreciated, guys. all of those funds are gathering away, and hopefully I will be able to use them to bring the community together under the roof of the Cannabis Activist Hub. And we will be able to then strengthen the network that's there and go forward as a stronger, more tight-knit community, and really smash this bloody prohibition that's oppressed us for so long. John Finnegan's telling me to feck off so we can go back and watch what he missed. Sorry, John. Won't keep you waiting too much longer. And also getting much our fudges on here, man. Fudger 101. Definitely will add you all up there as well, guys. We'll keep an eye out there on the old gamer tags. WRT Gunner saying Team Xbox. Oh, here we go. Here we go, boys. Team Xbox. PS4 for life, pipe. Team Xbox, me arse. Sorry guys, I was always a PlayStation dude. I don't know what the crack was. I love Nintendo when it was around, but I was always a Sega Mega Drive, and I think I went from Sega to PlayStation. And I wonder, like, would it be the case that a lot of people who went from Nintendo went to Xbox? Was that just a natural transition? But yeah, that was me. I was Sega, PlayStation. That was the transition, man, and kind of stuck with it. We see some PC gamers out there as well. PC gaming was never something I was able to get into. My brother is big into the PC gaming, and he definitely gives me some of the knowledge there in terms of setting up some of the computers, and he's taking care of my computer now at the moment. I fucked up the Systems 32 folder, and he's sorting it out there, so hopefully I'll have it back soon, and still working off at the laptop at the moment, but it seemed to go good all today, so yeah. I see Casa drug us all about the SNES kid. Yes, PC. Yeah, that's it. Like we could go on for another hour on that topic, boys. PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and I see loads of gamer tags coming in as well. If you're on Xbox, guys, and you want to add me up on the what is it? The Activision network, I think it's called. Just drop me a message there, and with your Activision gamer tag Yoki, and we'll get you added there as well. But yeah, I see Greenbird is back as well. We're just about to say bye, Greenbird, so you're just in time for the goodbye song. So goodbye, 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 goodbye. Who watches Bear in the Big Blue House, guys? Come on, like he's a legend. Like I love the Bear. I can't wait till the baby comes around and I can sit around and watch all these little kids shows again and get Barney on the TV. Alright guys, I'm going to sign off. Keep our lid out there, guys, and yeah, stay blazed. Yeah, stay blazed and keep her lit. Jeez, done that backwards. Much appreciated, everyone, for your participation. I'll be back with more 420 news on Wednesday, guys. So yeah, take care, guys. Watch out for the popo. If you get in trouble with them, guys, get in touch with me. I'll gladly make some noise for you guys. So later, peace. Yo.